Hello and welcome to the Geek Battle Gaming YouTube channel. My name is David Postansky and today we're going to be looking at Metgan's traffic mission for the Atari VCS. If you haven't done so already, I would appreciate if you smash that subscribe button, click the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, and by all means leave us a comment just to help us grow the channel. Without further ado, let's get on with the game. Now, a few weeks ago, I reviewed another game from Metgan Games for the Atari VCS. That game was Doodle Taxi, and I was instantly intrigued by it as it seemed like an interesting take on the Crazy Taxi formula, and it had an impressive art direction. So, just a short while later, when I saw there was another new car game from the same developer on the Atari VCS, I figured I'd be in for some more fun and games. Whilst I thought Doodle Taxi showed promise as a Crazy Taxi style game and I had a good time playing it, I can't say that I had a good time with Metgan's traffic mission. To be honest, I'm shocked at how bad this game is. I'm most shocked because the game doesn't need to be bad whatsoever. I was pleased to see this game was only £2.49 on the Atari VCS store, but to be honest, even though that's very cheap for a video game, I don't think it gives you value for money. In Metgan's traffic mission, you drive a car along a street until you reach an end goal. There are other cars on the road, and if you crash into them, you have to restart the current level. The art style looks very similar to the assets used in Doodle Taxi, but it's always in full colour without any of Doodle Taxi's fancy sepia tone where things become more colourful the better you play. Now, I know I'm doing much of this review in reference to Doodle Taxi, but that's partly because it has released so soon after Doodle Taxi, and because I think this whole game should just have been an extra mode on Doodle Taxi itself. When I first saw it and I watched the trailer, I expected that the game would play like one of the mini games, one of the bonus levels from Crazy Taxi, where you have to drive closely past other traffic without hitting them, and the more you do, the higher your score. Now, this may sound like how I described the game in reality, but the fundamental difference here is that you basically don't control your car at all. I can't believe the design choice with this one. When you start a level, it tells you to hold down the right trigger to start the level and accelerate. This feels logical and normal for a racing game, but a moment later you realise that the only other control in the entire game is to press the A button to change lanes. You don't use the control stick to manoeuvre your car at all, and that is insane. Literally, the game could have had the same controls as Doodle Taxi and just had the goal of weaving in and out of traffic to reach the end of the level and rack up as high a score as possible, and the game would have been fine. Simple but enjoyable. Instead, you don't use the analog stick or control stick on the classic controller or the D-pad at all. And if you think that sounds bad, it gets worse. The game has 3 lanes of traffic, but you can't even choose which lane you change into. I figured that even if I wasn't controlling the fine movements of the car, that this would be like a 3D Sonic the Hedgehog game where Sonic is grinding on a rail and you use the control stick to lean towards a different rail and then you tap the A button to hop across in that direction. That's how it works on Sonic the Hedgehog. It's also how it works perhaps on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or Jet Set Radio. Just something where you're like on a rail and you're grinding down and then you hop across to the other side. So you haven't done the fine movement in between, but you decide I'm going to hop onto a different rail or change lane and then you hop in that direction. Nope. You literally just have the A button to change lanes, and you can only change lane to whatever lane an arrow indicates you can move into, even if moving into that lane makes no sense. Like, this game can be played with either the modern style controller or the classic Atari style controller, and it can be played with one hand. Now, I'm going to leave the rest up to your imagination, but I should imagine that this leaves your other hand free for other activities which may make the experience of playing Metgan's traffic mission a bit more enjoyable. At the time of writing this review, I was at the very top of the high score leaderboard for the game, and woohoo for me. I played the game through over 100 levels, and then I've kind of given up. Every level is exactly the same. I thought, okay, maybe there's 30 levels on the game, maybe there's 50 levels on the game. Well, maybe there's 70 levels. When is this game going to come to an end? It just adds another number, and then it's the exact same thing over and over again. It may be the case that the first few levels are shorter in how far you need to drive to reach the exits, but I might be wrong about that. Certainly after the first few levels, it seems that I'd seen everything the game had to offer, and it never had anything new come up or different depending on what you were doing during the level. Well, almost. The only variations on the levels come in the form of a few power-ups you can come by, and that the other cars on the road are seemingly randomly generated. The power-ups are as follows. You can drive near a police car sometimes, and then you'll gain a siren, which will last for a few seconds. If you have this, the other cars on the road will clear to the side and clear a path for you. Then there is a rocket that will chase along the road in front of you. If you manage to collect it, you will be propelled down the road for a few seconds and even smash through any traffic. Literally, it's too difficult to try to control your vehicle once you have this rocket. Lastly, you can sometimes see a ramp appear on the road, which if you drive up, you will fly off the end of it, and then you'll land back down, and when you do so, you might smash through some other cars. And I guess it's like a speed boost. The other cars on the road appear to be random in their generation, and it's just annoying. It means that often you find there is a complete traffic jam, and you will either crash into traffic or you'll have to let go of the accelerator and hope you slow down enough and that you slow down to a crawl as not to crash into other cars. There is no brake button in this game, so your best bet is just to tap on the accelerator and hope that you still have enough distance before you crash into something that you can actually start to slow down. Now, I put this game to the test and found that you can complete any level by just occasionally tapping the accelerator and slowly grinding your way through a stage with never dodging another car. This will enable you to complete any level, but there is a bad side to this. The quicker you get through a stage, or perhaps the more cars you overtake, the more money you will earn. This can then be used to unlock various other cars, just as you would do on Doodle Taxi. Unlocking other cars is the only incentive to ever drive faster to complete a stage, as it's not required for actually getting through any of the levels. Also, just to jump back on the presentation for a moment, the soundtrack is fast and furious, which is a lot better than the slow-paced, like fantasy-style sounding music that you had on Doodle Taxi, which I know had a slight fairy tale story, but it just didn't seem, it seemed so pedestrian. The problem is that there is this music and the noise of a police siren, and that's it. I didn't notice that the game had any other sound. No car noise, no traffic, no crashing, anything. Maybe I'm wrong on that, maybe I just sort of tuned out after a few minutes. The game is also always set in the rain, and this can be distracting to the point that the rain may make it so you miss a car that you need to overtake. Also, the arrow showing you that you can change lanes is right over a car ahead, and this is annoying as it means you actually can't see the car you're about to bump into. The biggest issue with this game is you don't directly control the movement of your car, which is actually crazy. But a close second in terms of problems is that much like Doodle Taxi, the game rewards you for driving at a snail's pace. It shouldn't take you too long to unlock all of the cars on offer, and even then I didn't actually notice any difference other than like cosmetic changes to the vehicle you're driving. What difference did it make to have different cars? On Doodle Taxi it did, and the best car you could get on the game kind of made it almost unplayable. It was like unlocking hard mode. But on this one, you unlock a new car and it just looks different. The game plays exactly the same as far as I could tell. And anyway, unless you're aiming for a high score on the leaderboard, you may as well just drive really slow to get through any or every stage. Unless Metgan Games are really keen on promoting sensible driving, the attitude of slow and steady wins the race doesn't make for a fun video game experience. And it is such a shame, as the game could be easily fixed. Just let players directly control their cars first and foremost. Then maybe scrap the idea of bumping into other cars that ends the stage. Just have it so that you build up a combo. For the longer you avoid crashing into other things, the better. Having to restart after every bump is not that fun. Just also add a timer to the game so that it incentivizes you to get through each level like quicker. I know there is a timer on the game where it'll be like, it took you 37 seconds to do it, and maybe you get a bit more money, but put a time limit. Say that, okay, as the game gets harder, you have to get to the end goal within 30 seconds, then 20 seconds, something, just so it means that you have to get good at the game. You know, weaving in, controlling the car, the different cars have different control feelings, and then this would be a good game. And basically, this should be so simple because a lot of these mechanics were already there on Doodle Taxi. Just combine the two games, and then you'll have one pretty good game out of it. This game should have just been a bonus challenge on Doodle Taxi. Look, if the developer of the game reads the article version of this or watches this review, I'd love to see some of this feedback taken on board, as I think it'd make for a much better game. But this, currently as it is, isn't something I can recommend. I don't mean to sound mean about it, but if the last game was like Crazy Taxi, then this game is Lazy Taxi. I bought this game on the strength of how promising Doodle Taxi was. This game may make me hesitate to jump straight into whatever the next game you come up with might be. So that's my review for Metgan's Traffic Mission, and I can honestly say that after a while, because I did put myself through playing 100 plus levels of it, you know, in the end I felt like, wow, I can really play this quite well for whatever that's worth. But this isn't something, if I wasn't reviewing the game, I'd have probably given more than 10 minutes to. So that's the review. Hope you enjoyed it. Do check out, we're going to have lots more Atari VCS reviews on the channel. We already have a bunch. I've just put out a big documentary about why the most powerful games consoles of every generation don't win their personal console war, and we're going to have a bunch more documentaries and other things coming up on the channel, getting lots and lots of videos up on the channel at a faster rate these days. Also, don't forget that you can read the review version of this as an article over on www.extremed.tv, along with a ton of other gaming and pop culture stuff. So if you want to help the channel grow, please smash that subscribe button, leave a comment, tell me if you liked the video, didn't like the video, do you like this game, am I just missing the point with it? So anyway, until next time, stay safe, always stay extremed, and ciao for now. Boom, and we're off the air.